Hello there and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, as you know, budget is soon to be read, soon to be presented by the Minister of Finance, and it is the final budget for this particular administration. Of course, general elections are due to be held next year. I believe that the government have until, and it's the maximum point, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, November of 2025 to poll or to host rather a general election. But putting that aside, focusing on the budget, we are going to be hearing a lot in respect to the government's plans over the next couple of weeks. And of course, following the budget debate or the budget presentation, rather, we would hear a lot more scrutiny in respect to that. That being said, conversations have already started. For example, the food import bill here in Trinidad and Tobago is associated not only with inflationary pressures and, of course, increased prices that consumers will face when entering a supermarket, but it's also associated with the conversation of foreign exchange. Now, according to the Minister of Trade and Industry, Paula Gopi-Schoon, recently at the Agri Expo, which was held in Port of Spain, she mentioned that our food import bill is approximately TT $5 billion. Now, it has actually floated between TT 4 billion and 6 billion. Based on the research I've done, it's been touted to be between 4 and 6 billion. So 5 billion obviously is a decent average. That being said, we don't have a final cost, but we are aware of the items of which we spend the majority of money on, including wheat, sugars, and as mentioned, the biggest is cereal. Well, one of the biggest anyway. And good news in some areas though, 8 out of every 10 chickens consumed in Trinidad and Tobago is sourced locally. That being said, we still import a phenomenal amount of meat products. I think it's approximately 700 million TT dollars in meat as compared to exporting just about 14 million. But ladies and gentlemen, how can we reduce our food import bill? Is it even possible? The minister said that could be happening very soon as agricultural projects on the part of government come into play. I'm joined this morning by a guest who I had on the program a couple of weeks ago, who actually stressed about what Trinidad and Tobago has and the potential, the capability that we have in respect to our agricultural capacity. Mr. Bindra Miraj is with us once more. Hello, sir, and welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and your viewers.
Well, thanks very much for being with us once more, Mr. Miraj. As I mentioned, we've heard that our food import bill can be reduced soon because of a number of agricultural projects coming online. Now, the minister was not specific, but you would have an idea in respect to farming efforts and agricultural efforts here in TNT. Have you seen a stimulation of the industry that actually will genuinely help reduce our food import bill?
Let's get to the meat of this entire. The food import bill has way past $5 billion. It is closer to 6 going on 7. That's the information we have, and that is information that we have been getting from the CSO. But you see, a lot of monies that we import, we spend on imported food stuff, cannot be accounted for because a lot of the monies are paid more so in taxes to the port, uplifted taxes. So that's a different story altogether. But what I'm saying to you is that a lot of importers who bring in food stuff will definitely not be able to give the CSO the information that we are trying to get. And that is getting the food bill where it is supposed to be. Now, we're talking this morning about the reduction in the price, the food import bill. But let me tell you something. The projects that I am hearing about is what we have been hearing about for years. These projects always coming in the budget, but that's it. We don't hear about an execution of the project. Yes, they're talking about implementation, but how do you execute? Where is the execution of these projects? That is my concern. We have been talking about these things for quite some time, but we are not seeing them. We are hearing about them, but not executing them. That's my issue right
No, okay, fair enough. We're not executing them. But if we were to take a look at some of the issues that farmers are complaining about, and it's issues that you raised not too long ago in respect to permits, agricultural permits, even issues with the Water and Sewer Authority and water connections that has significantly derailed agricultural production. But overall, generally speaking, what is our potential capacity? What is our potential as a nation to actually produce the majority of the food that we eat, whether it be meat or vegetable staples?
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Trinidad can produce enough food to feed Trinidad and Tobago at this time. We have been doing that. The problem is, how do we keep the capacity going? How do we maintain the capacity? That is the issue. Okay, let me just draw a reference to you. Right now, we have a couple of farmers who are producing sheep and goat. The carcasses are available, the meat, those things are available, but we do not have the local people, the supermarkets, and so who are ready and willing to buy. That's the problem. One, the producers are saying that things are difficult outside there. They can only depend on the roadside retail market. Sometimes they go to the market and sell their product. But the supermarkets and the other big business who depend on, they rather import their lamb or their goat or their sheep, whatever they need for local consumption. One, we have an issue where the price from foreign is better than local. But we are not sure the type of products we are getting because there are no standards to say, okay, look, we are getting X, Y, and Z. We are not too sure. But what we do know for a fact is that what we produce locally is better, it is healthier, and it is something that can be done locally. But the impetus to make sure that these farmers can get their product outside there in a bigger way to all these bigger chains, food chains, and so is not there. That's the problem we have right now.
Mr. Murad, why is it that it's often said that it is cheaper to import food or products that are available locally, as you just mentioned, goat and lamb? Why is it cheaper to import that product as compared to the locally produced product that is available?
Simple economies of scale. When you have people like Shiraz Khan producing, his maybe couple hundred heads of animals, the foreign producers produce thousands and thousands. You understand? When and that is what creates the problem. Also, you have to understand that the agri sector in the foreign countries, they prepare their farmers, they help them, they nurture them along to get this production going. That is why we need to have this sort of a behavioral pattern change. We need to get our people here, whether it's government, whether it's ministry, whether it's private development, whether it's private sector partnership. We need to have this sort of a thing going for the farmers here now, where we can actually take our production and start to say, look, okay, how much do we import for the year? Let us see if we can go towards this farmer or this group of farmers who can do this for us locally. What you will do right away is save your foreign exchange by working and assisting the farmers here. But you see, when you make a bold statement about production of this and we're doing that and we do this, and you do not have the finance available for it, that is where the entire thing falls down.
Well, at this point in 2024, what is the investment going to be? What is it going to take to get our agricultural industry, if not within the nearest possible time to full capacity, but rather in a capacity that could be seen as productive, but also profitable for all involved?
That's a very tricky question. The agri sector is broken up into so many sectors, so many different sectors, right? That you really, it will be a very difficult thing for me to tell you what is needed. But what I can tell you is that the monies that the agri sector is getting in this country is certainly not enough, not only to keep the sector alive, but to keep the ministry alive. Their recurrent expenditure is what they actually work with. And you see, let us talk now about what we need to do. What we need to do is to actually get the ministry and farmers together and say, okay, this is our problem. And I mentioned this to you at the last time we went on this program. At the Agri Expo, what we envisaged was that the ministry would have had a booth, and farmers should have been able to come in there and say, listen, this is let us take these people who we are from the ministry, put them there and say, okay, I am a farmer, I produce sweet potatoes. I am in the Felicity area. I am in Carlsonfield producing milk, whatever have you, or animals or whatever. What are my issues? How do we address the issues? That is the first stage that we should have dealt with. Now, I am going back to say again that farmers would have used that opportunity together with ourselves, like for instance, our group, the sales farmers, we would have asked our farmers to come in, set up meetings with these people in that booth, and say, okay, look, this is how we need to address this problem, this is how we need to deal with this, whether it's pre-larceny, whether it's artificial insemination. Do you know we have a problem with artificial insemination for animals in this country? We now have somebody doing it from our group, doing it privately, who can either inseminate animals for milk production or for food production. That is where we need to start. We need to start. And then from there, when we find out you have the root crop, you have vegetables, animal husbandry, you have so many different areas of food production, whether it's flour, cassava flour, whether it's fish production, poultry production. We have so many areas that will be difficult to hone in and say, look, this is what we need for the sector.
Well, Mr. Mirage, let me also ask, currently, in the situation that we find ourselves in, is there too much competition in Trinidad for these same products, where a lot of farmers have now shifted towards crop agriculture, focusing on crops, and not necessarily the diversity that is required or needed, simply because it's not sustainable or profitable for them?
Very correct. Point in case, or case in point, you have the rice farmers in this country. Let's talk about them. They are trying to step up their game right now. Right now. We know the ministry is trying to work with them. It's slow, but do you know that after putting everything in place, right, you have a problem again. You know fully well, and I'm sure our viewers will know that we had a problem with the rice farmers with WASA recently over the we had that problem. One farmer has lost nearly 30 acres of rice because of a water issue with WASA. That is where we have a problem, We have a problem where the ministries are not collaborating with each other. And that is where we have an issue. Now, for instance, I looked at Minister Foster Cummins, who is actually trying to encourage youth farming, which is an excellent problem. I have no problem with that. Our group, the sales farmers, have a youth program, which we are doing on our own, right? No one has reached out to us. We have reached out to the ministry on that. No one has reached out to us to say, okay, look, let us assist. We have our market on a Saturday. No one has reached out to work with us. As a matter of fact, we even ask the relevant authorities to work with us, you know what I mean? And nothing, so we don't do that. And then we're talking about the collaboration of that ministry together with, I see Minister Alwari, Minister Cummins, Minister Marvin Gonzalez. That is the combination we're looking for. That is the combination. Minister Cummins has the youth farmers. Minister Alwari has the roads for these farms, you know, the secondary roads. He can assist with those things. We're talking about Minister Gonzalez, who can assist with electricity and water. What is missing? Where is the Ministry of Agriculture in this form? That is what I'm concerned about. So the ministries with this collaboration is an excellent one. But where is the minister and the Ministry of Agriculture bringing these four together? That is what we need to do. We need to bring these ministries. So, okay, you have a problem with WASA? We know the minister can talk to somebody right away. Listen, don't give these farmers the problems, with WASA. And you see, this is the first area that we need to start dealing with. Bring that collab together, and we can now take it to the next level.
Solutions are not necessarily easily found within the industry, Mr. Maraj. Is that what you're suggesting? Because of that lack of collaborative ideas?
No. Solutions are there. You have thousands of solutions. We have provided solutions to a lot of the issues, but there is no follow-through. Because if we supply a solution to a problem to the Ministry of Agriculture, right, and it's a WASA problem, how do we get it from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Minister of Public Utilities? That is what we need to do. We need to have a one-stop shop with these ministries so we can actually go and get into the problems. The solutions are there. How do you implement and execute these solutions? That is the problem.
With our food import bill increasing every single year, the Minister and it's another ministry, actually, Trade and Industry, has made the argument that it will be reduced soon, not stating how. I know that there is a committee in place that has been charged with examining food prices and possibly putting solutions forward to reducing our food import bill. It doesn't seem as though we are going to reach that target of reducing our food import bill as CARICOM by 25% next year. But Mr. Maraj, you mentioned youth farming, you mentioned the future of farming, and I'm asking you this morning, if you were to speak to TNT and describe to them well and truly about the future of our agricultural industry, how would you describe our current situation, and how would you describe our future currently, given what we are experiencing and facing?
I am going to speak from my aspect, my farmers, my members, our members of our group. We have been achieving a lot on our own. We have been able to get our farmers to keep the prices of food in our market down. It's a very difficult task. Yesterday, for instance, a farmer called me, and we spoke about this ad nauseum last time we were on this program. Do you know what is the price today on cassava? Cassava wholesale is selling at $1.50 a pound today.
And there is a lot of cassava.
Right? Now, you just asked me a pertinent question. We have a glut of cassava on the market right now. Why do we have a glut of cassava? Because nobody, and I'm going to say in the ministry, will look at people and say, okay, farmers, and say, okay, listen, too many people planting cassava. You don't plant cassava at this time. You have so many pounds we estimate to get in a certain time frame. So if you produce more, you will just be adding to bulk. And this is what happens. The price will go down because we do not have a cassava processing plant. I'll tell you one of the other issues. Because we do not have consistency in planting and reaping, let's look at cassava in particular. We allow people to import cassava from Costa Rica. You hear what I'm saying? Frozen cassava. So at a certain time of the year, when cassava is now growing, or when you have the hot and the drought season and the hot season and that kind of thing, cassava is growing but not being able to reap. Only when the rain starts to fall, you will find the cassava will be able to, The problem here is that we are taking foreign exchange to allow people to bring cassava in frozen. Now, my suggestion is buy the cassava to consumers, buy cassava now, and instead of buying it in the grocery or anywhere else where you have to freeze this and buy frozen, buy your cassava, prep it properly, which is you peel, cut, wash, take it, damp it, take a damp cloth, dry that excess water out, put it in Ziploc bags, and freeze it. That is the way to start saving money. That is the way consumers ought to. Pumpkin, for instance, right now, pumpkin is selling for like under $1 a pound. Under. This is what we have been able to do with our farmers, our members, keep the prices down. I'll tell you what, so we can't do the same thing with pumpkin? Why can't we do the same thing with pumpkin? We also have members who are actually dehydrating these products, whether it's pimentos, shadow benny, moringa. We have that being done now. And they are selling these things in packages, and this is now available at our market. Now, these things are much cheaper because if you have pimentos and later on when the sun gets hot and we don't have the heavy production and reaping of pimentos, you now have a substitute. Dehydrated products. All our farmers, our members who are doing agri-processing, they are doing it on their own. We have to be begging people to help them, whether it's the Agricultural Development Bank, the ministry with the grants. It's like pulling teeth to assist these people. Artificial insemination, right? We are actually doing this with our members on our own. It is the most difficult job that I've had in many, many years. I'll be honest with you. It is frustrating. And if you tell me to tell people in Trinidad what to do to protect themselves for food security, my suggestion is simple. If you have a pot that you have nothing to do with, in your yard, your backyard gardening must come back. We must have our local production. Remember, 70% of the food we eat comes from what we produce here.
Yes, Mr. Murad, that's it for time though. And I want to thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning and for also once more highlighting what is available and what can happen. Thank you very much, sir. And
well, thank you for having me.
This conversation will continue over the course of the next couple of weeks and couple of months, the debate. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All the best. Ladies and gentlemen, well, the potential is there and the capacity still has to reach its full potential, but there has been a start and the efforts are being made by our local farmers and, of course, our local agricultural entrepreneurs. I'm aware of, for example, those substitute products that are being made available due to dehydration, for example. Mr. Murad spoke about cassava, and I myself noticed that there is a lot of cassava that is available for purchasing, and this cassava to a certain extent has become, I don't know, our taste for it has become a bit luxurious because we've gotten so lazy in the sense that convenience. I mean, I understand the convenience, but it's just so easy for people to walk in the supermarket and pick up a pack of frozen cassava, not knowing that the fresh product is available for a fraction of the cost. So yeah, you speak about convenience, but you can also help yourself when it comes to your food bill. And I keep saying it. You also need to teach your children how to prep these foods by simply going to the grocery and constantly purchasing these pre-packaged frozen products. You're not necessarily teaching them how to fully prepare these foods. In the event is not available in TNT in the future, and believe me, that's quite a possibility. You've already seen a reduction in the availability or the variety of goods in the supermarket. Quite possibly, you might not be in a position to import these things in the future. You never know. You got to start doing it from now and helping yourself and helping your children. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break here on the program. We will return shortly. Hi, good morning, Pastor Dawson. How are you?
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus, quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us this morning as we continue with the conversation. A separate topic, but definitely focusing on major issues and quite possibly topics that could impact politics in TNT. Politically, it is unfavorable to many, and some are arguing there's a need for it. I'm speaking about a state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago to combat our current crime situation. It is getting out of hand. You would have seen on the news that a 13-year-old girl was attacked and stabbed in Endeavour yesterday, and it's crazy what we see taking place in Trinidad. Now, some of you might argue, well, we don't know the circumstances, we don't know the situation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the circumstances. The mere fact is that's the end result. That is what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. It's become a land of lawlessness. It seems to be like the Wild West once more, where the sheriff is not totally in control. How else would I describe it? How else would you describe it, ladies and gentlemen? Why not a state of emergency? Or why is there a need for a state of emergency when the resources are available? Are there? I'm joined this morning by Pastor Clive Dawson. Good morning, Pastor, and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much. did an excellent job of describing the situation. Yeah, it is totally out of control. So, well, I listened to DCP Benjamin. I don't know if you heard what he said. He said that the police have things under control. I have replied, if they have things under control, wait until they lose control. Because unless he knows something that we don't know, and by the way, there's some people who feel we have extrajudicial killings taking place. And that may be the reason for the complacency by the hierarchy of the police service. I will tell you, I do not see a kind of panic modality in terms of fighting with this monster. It seems to me that we could have 20 people killed in a week and it would be business as usual until it reaches home, my home, your home. And I am concerned. I am one that I started this debate, last week Sunday. The Express pulled a Facebook post that I made on the killing of Joshua and Chanel Singh, the siblings, the brother and sister team. They were brutally murdered. Yesterday morning I get up. I live in Piti Valley, Pioneer Drive. A family wiped out. That cannot be taken lightly. And I want to warn Trinidad and Tobago that if we take this thing lightly and some people say, some psychologists say the country is going through a state of desensitization. That is, whatever happens will not move it. We don't have a critical mass of murders that will plunge us into a state of action. Now, I told someone last night, a politician last night at Exodus Pania, that I regret that we have an election soon. And I'll tell you why I said that. Not that I don't want us to have an election, but the elections in Trinidad bring out the worst in us. We are more divisive than that time than at any other time. Race, its ugly head, and we have a problem. So the society becomes polarized once more. And by the way, while I have said, and you have the quote up here, lawless and indisciplined nation cannot fight crime. A polarized society cannot fight crime either. So I have a concern about, I don't know if we have mature enough politicians who are able to say, we're going to have an election, but at the same time, if we could unite on a particular issue, for example, unite on the issue of getting a campaign for fathers to accept their responsibility. And I am by no means blaming the opposition, but I feel there's some merit, all right? I'm sure the state has several plans in terms of medium term and long term, but it is short term. We have got to put the society, the Antigua Prime Minister understands this. He has called for a state of emergency because, and what is happening there is that they're having a high level of criminality. They don't have as much home invasions as we have, but they have business invasions. People are going in armed with weapons, all right, and harassing individuals, robbing them, and Antigua say we're not accustomed to that. So we're going to put a check on it. While we get the police, while we get the security services on a state of alert, while we alert the population, we are going to freeze the population. I think from 10 o'clock every night, that's it. Everybody has to be inside. And I am saying nothing is wrong with that. Now, what I have seen in Trinidad is that governments feel, ruling parties feel, that when they call a state of emergency, it's a state of weakness. I don't agree with that whatsoever. What I am saying is the criminal element is taking the fight to the state. They are saying no matter what you do, you kill 6 of us in Central, we continuing. I mean, in a lot of the parts of the country, let me tell you something, the gangs are running riot. And one of the problems with DCP Benjamin's approach to the issue is that while 3 areas would have an increase in murders, and the rest, he said, okay. They're okay for now. But what I am saying is, Leela Ramdeen from the Catholic and Social Justice Commission says that we have the migratory criminal. So in those 3 areas, you could have murders, but the murderers coming from outside of those communities. And that is important. The other point I want to raise is, a father called me day before. He says, Pastor, I want to see you. I said, sure, I would like to see you. He said, Pastor, my 15-year-old son can't go to school. You know why he cannot go to school? The gangs are so heavy in that secondary school that he cannot go to school. So what happens? is that the boy has to stay at home because he's concerned now. The boy himself at age 15 is also involved in gang activity in the school. So what you have is the school now is a microcosm of what is taking place in the wider society. And I support the call for a state of emergency. If it's just for a temporary relief, why we get our act together?
Well, Pastor Dawson, do you think that our approach as a whole is not helping? I know you spoke about how we live in a divisive society that is fueled by politics and elections. It doesn't necessarily get better during the course of the 5 years after an election is held. But our approach to policing and our approach to crime, we speak about, too often we speak about blue collar criminals. We're speaking about murderers and arresting them and policing, not necessarily focusing on white collar criminals, where there is quite possibly a link between both. So is the approach stale at this point?
Well, the slaves, I have said at this independence that we're not an independent country. So I didn't wish anybody happy independence. In my post, I wish everybody had transformed independence. But we have been recolonized. That's the honest truth. Those who want to, put their heads in the sand like ostrich would not agree. But I am saying we have lost our independence. We have been recolonized by the narco democracy. It's a narco democracy we're running. So that is one thing I want to say. A lot of the experts are talking about blue collar crime. They're not focusing on white collar crime. And I could be wrong. I'm yet to see a political leader in the country of any party whatsoever who appears to focus on this issue. All right, because our ports have been compromised. I listened to the Minister of National Security, and he is saying the majority of the guns and the drugs are coming through the legal ports. Now that is significant. When I was in the Police Service Commission, we went to visit a police station, and a policewoman called me in a phone and said, "Pastor, let me tell you something. One night we got orders to go by a certain beach and escort a certain vehicle. And she told me that vehicle was filled. What they discovered that vehicle was filled with drugs. Now, for you, as a senior officer, the commander, junior officer, to escort drugs in a vehicle, collected by a beach. Now, that has to tell you how far we have gone. So I am saying that I agree with you that the white collar crime and the blue collar crime are linked, but you can't just focus on the blue collar criminals. You have to get the courage to catch the guys at the top who importing the cocaine. And once you have cocaine and any drug at all, you have to have, your security, and that is the issue of guns. By the way, I have been interviewing folks who want to come out of the gang story, and they know about, they have access to AR-15 weapons. 2 years ago, when Aruna Diosarad and Nigel Chance were killed in St. Mary's, Moruga, the gun of choice 10. And that house was 4 houses away from the police station. 4 houses away from the police station was the AR-15. And that guy who killed them is a suspect in the murder of the father and the 5-year-old. So it appears to me that what the mafia has ensured, and I'm talking about the godfathers, the white-collar criminals, is that they have protection for themselves, but they are making sure they protect the guys who are actually doing the killings. So that is a serious thing, and it's swift justice, sir. While the legal and judicial systems of our country are slow and clogged, but what you have to confess is that there's swift justice by the folks engaged in illegal activities. So that gives them a strength that mainstream society does not have at this time.
Well, Pastor Dawson, if it is that is the case, what you're speaking about is the criminals are too powerful. Criminals are too powerful. In fact, currently our TTPS simply can't handle the situation. This is not trying to dampen their efforts. It's simply that they don't have the resources that the criminal elements have, and therefore, if we speak about a war between law and lawlessness, lawlessness will win because they seem to have access to more powerful machinery and weaponry, as compared to those charged with enforcing the law.
Okay, now, correct. Now, what I'm saying is this, that what you have just said exposes the need for more sustained joint army and police patrols. Now, we talk about joint army and police patrols. This condition we have didn't happen overnight. It grew upon us over a period of decades. And therefore, if I had to advise the authorities, I will tell them there must be a more sustained approach. That they just have armed patrol and the police working together for a week or two, does not cut it. And the other thing is this, although we have joint armed and police patrols, the fellows who are in charge still remain in charge. I'm talking about the gang leadership level. They still remain in charge. And therefore, I would advise the security, top brass, that you have got to watch that. You cannot have joint army and police patrols, and after 2 weeks or so, they are gone, and the killings continue. So that I want to tell you, I'm a supporter of the state of emergency. I think we need to freeze the society at a certain point in time to do what we have to do, to send a signal that we are serious, and we must prove that we are serious even after the state of emergency.
Sorry, Pastor Dalton, let me interject. How does the state of emergency actually say or suggest we are going to do what we have to do? If that is currently not happening without a state of emergency, what's the state of emergency actually changes the approach?
Well, it gives, I am not sure where the Prime Minister's head is at, because I have always said the real National Security Minister is the Prime Minister, because you have who is supposed to be a technocrat as the Minister of National Security, all surrounded by technocrats. So I am saying to you is that the government has got to get more serious. They have to say, well, listen, this country is about to collapse. We are going in the direction of Haiti. Law and order is abused. People have no respect for law and order. The criminals are spitting in our faces, and we have got to get serious. I have always said, my friend, that the day we are serious about dealing with the level of criminality we have, the criminals will know. I have gone on record and saying that over and over. Therefore, we have to change where we are going. We have to experience a turning of the tide. And we have got to relentlessly, pursue those that are making our lives miserable and horrible in this country.
Well, Pastor Dawson, and I come back to the example that you gave earlier in respect to what a police officer confessed to you, in respect to having to escort a vehicle that was filled with drugs from a beach in Trinidad and Tobago. And does a state of emergency matter? Does a police press conference really matter? Does it make, or would it make a difference if those who are charged, even joint patrols between the police and the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, does that even matter? Would make a difference if those who are charged with enforcing the laws are themselves lawless and the ones who are breaking it? Some police officers might not even be fully aware of what the laws are.
Yes, that is true. And that is where we have to have hope that the non-corrupt elements in the service will arise to the challenge. I have had police come and tell me, Pastor, I had a young boy join the police force from the church, and he left. He says, Pastor, what I'm hearing, I just can't cope with it. So we have got to understand that. We have got to speak directly to the rogue elements, or the suspected rogue elements, was getting evidence. I mean, the PCA came to me one day, an investigating officer, to talk to me about a particular issue. And I understand that the honest elements in the police service, they are less scared of the weapons out there. They are more scared about the inner circle Judases in the service. But I'm still saying to them that we have got to move forward. We have got to do our best. We still have a large number of non-corrupt police officers and non-corrupt soldiers, Although I'm hearing this is the virus is biting the army, virus of corruption in a significant way, but we still have enough honest people around, And we in the population have got to get involved, fathers have got to get involved with their sons. Those who have abandoned their sons, we have to find a legal framework to have them. Let me tell you something. In London, where I just came from, if a child, an underage child, misbehaves in public, the parents are hauled before the court. And I want to see that happen in Trinidad and Tobago. So there are different levels of intervention and different types of responsibilities that different groups must have. And we must enforce that in Trinidad and Tobago.
So you are of the opinion that parents in Trinidad and Tobago should be the ones held accountable for the actions of their children?
Yes, of course, I firmly believe that. But the other problem is this. One of the mountains I would say that pressing upon us is the intergenerational narco family, where grandparents are involved, parents are involved, and grandchildren are involved. It was well known in Temple Street in Arima that you had the grandchildren at that time cutting cocaine at the age of 10. And now they are brandishing weapons. Of course, some of them are being killed. If you watch that famous family from Temple Street, some of them, the relatives are being killed out now. So that you have a fair level of revenge killings taking place within the gang territory itself. And we must not forget that. Before I go, and I know what time is racing, I want to compliment the Scrap Iron Dealers Association. We are heading to Grandy this morning, and I want to tell you, we have gone to at least 6 areas where we've given out the hampers. This is 6th area, a vulnerable area, Madison area there, where we are going out. Grandy has become a hotspot now. Valencia and Grandy have become hotspots. Okay,
where is it?
I tell you, but we have a situation in the Grandy Adventist Primary School where a 6-year-old child was killed. She was killed because she opened the door when she heard the gunshots firing. One gang inside, her family, I believe, and another gang outside. And they fired bullets, and she opened the door and she got killed. 6 years old. Could you imagine that? So children are being killed. We talk about collateral damage, but I want to tell you what's going on in the country right now. Some of the children are not collateral damage. The gang leaders have determined to teach the family a lesson, so they kill the children mercilessly. That's a plan. That's the plan. The local mafia has that plan right now. So we're not in a very good space, but we have to hold the courage, hold the fort. We have to trust in the power of Almighty God and move forward. All right. I repeat, the day we get serious about this thing, the criminal element will know.
Final question, Pastor Dawson, this morning. Do you think that Transvail, we speak about paradise and paradise lost and how sweet TNT is, and we should be proud of TNT. Do you think Transvail should ever be the final destination of young people? Do you think that Transvail could still be touted as being a final destination for our young people and the future of really the futures of whom we are bringing right now in society?
Well, I would say we have to determine that, because right now it's a failed state. In my opinion, Trinidad and Tobago is a failed state. Tobago is in a horrible place right now. There was a time that, as far as I know, people left their doors open. They can't leave their doors open anymore. And people are saying there's only homegrown criminals there. I object to that. There are people from Trinidad and other islands who are impacting upon the crime situation in Tobago. They want to see Tobago come just like Trinidad. So that we are losing on both ends. We're losing in terms of the tourist end. We have a capital flight. I know businessmen who have left the country. They're sending their children ahead. And once there is a human flight, there will be a capital flight. So that impacts upon your foreign exchange, etc., etc. So I am saying, right now, we're a failed state. Not a failing state, a failed state, because we are failing to handle the many issues that confront us, and therefore we have to do our best to reverse that trend, and all of us must get on board.
Indeed. Well, Pastor Dawson, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. I know you're part of the Scrap Iron Dealers Associations and their outlook and their community conversations that they've been holding on crime in TNT. So I know that you're part of the efforts this morning as well. So thank you very much for joining me.
God bless. God bless. Thank you.
All the best. Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do you support a state of emergency being called in Trinidad and Tobago? I've spoken about this many a times before. There are pros and cons, of course. TNT does not have a good taste when it comes to state of emergencies because of those held within the past. That being said, is it now time for one to be enacted given our situation? If you think that a state of emergency is not a solution, there is one other aspect that Jamaica has been utilizing, and they have seen some results. And those are limited states of emergencies in hotspot areas. The problem is, where in Trinidad and Tobago now is not a hotspot. Where can you argue TNT there is not a hotspot, that it is still nice? Because believe you me, if you think that hotspots are certain areas across TNT where criminal elements are grouping and gathering, it's all over the country. You might not even know it might be next door to you, and you might not even be completely aware of it. But that's the problem that we're dealing with now. We're not even in touch with one another. We are so afraid of each other, and we are so divisive. We don't even know who our neighbors are, and that in itself is a problem. But a state of emergency, ladies and gentlemen, is seen as politically unfavorable at this time because it suggests that the government not only have lost the grip on crime, but also have no other solutions or no other approach. They cannot evolve to meet the current situation. So by enacting a state of emergency, we have failed. I don't think so. I think by taking certain steps and showing that you are not afraid to make these decisions and showing that we are going to do everything in our power, you have not failed. You are showing you are willing. You are showing that you are willing to push and ensure that you bring the fight, rather than the criminal element bring the fight. A press conference is good. I'm glad that you come and inform me and update me. But a press conference does not do anything when a 13-year-old girl gets stabbed, when a 5-year-old is gunned down with her father. When you try and tell families that, hold on, listen, we've seen a reduction in serious crimes. Yeah, you try and tell that to the family who was killed in Petit Valley. You try and tell that to the father of Andrea Barrett and Ashanti Bradley, and let us not forget those names, because we had protests and candlelight vigils, and nothing ever happened. Crocodile tears, but not a state of emergency. Trinidad and Tobago, when are we going to get serious? When are we really going to get serious? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that when we have these conversations, you put aside politics. I hope when we have these conversations, you put aside differences. Because our biggest problem in Trinidad and Tobago right now is the level of hate. The level of hate that really has a grasp on society. We take a break on AM Prime. We will return shortly. Stay with us.
Here's your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Fire at Georgetown Prison injures 2 inmates. 13-year-old girl stabbed at Endeavour Plaza. Gasparillo taxi driver arrested for alleged rape of students. And internationally, iconic actor James Earl Jones passes away at 93. Now for the details. A 13-year-old girl is recovering after being stabbed at Extra Plaza Endeavour on the evening of September 7th. Police report that the girl was near Linda's Bakery when a woman of Spanish descent, accompanied by 2 others, attacked her with a knife. The girl was stabbed multiple times, puncturing her left lung. She was treated at the Chaguanas Health Facility before being transferred to Mount Hope Pediatric Hospital, where she remains in stable condition. The suspect has been arrested and investigations are ongoing. A 39-year-old taxi driver from Gasparillo has been arrested for allegedly raping a 20-year-old student he was hired to transport. The student told police that on October 31, 2023, she fell asleep during the ride home and awoke in a remote area where the driver assaulted her. The suspect was arrested on September 5th by officers from the Gender-Based Violence Unit. The victim reported the incident to her relatives and the police. Investigations are ongoing. 2 prisoners were injured on Monday after a fire broke out at Georgetown Prison. Inmate Dallon Blake, who is serving a 20-year sentence for rape and is reported to be of unsound mind, allegedly set fire to his mattress around 2 p.m. Officers quickly contained the fire. Blake and another inmate, Christopher Stanley, were taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital for treatment. The severity of their injuries is still unclear. Internationally, legendary actor James Earl Jones, known for his iconic voice work as Darth Vader and Mufasa, has passed away at age 93. His agent confirmed he died at his home in New York's Hudson Valley. Jones, who overcame a severe stutter and racial barriers, had a celebrated career, earning 2 Emmys, a Golden Globe, a Grammy, and multiple Tony Awards. He is remembered for his powerful stage performances, commanding presence in films like The Great White Hope, and his deep, unmistakable voice in The Lion King and Star Wars. His contributions to stage and screen left an indelible mark on American entertainment. Well, that's News to the Hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really want
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday
like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Well, guess what? It's that time of the day on a Wednesday where we have Wild Wednesday. Welcome, Ricardo, me to the program. Ricardo, welcome back.
Good morning, and thanks for having me again.
Again,
Yeah. But today I'm in much more my natural element because I'm here with a wonderful special guest for Wild Wednesday.
You have a special guest indeed. In fact, we don't have to wait for formalities of introducing them, because that cute little creature is right next to you on the desk.
Yes.
Who or what is that? Because it looks like a giant teddy bear / guinea pig.
Well, let me introduce you to the largest rodent in the world. And when I say largest, this animal can grow to 110 pounds on average. That's bigger than your German Shepherd.
That's on average, so
That's
you get
an
even
average.
bigger.
You can get some bigger, you can get some smaller, but on average, if you ask me how big it can get, 110 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the capybara. The capybara. So we have right here a little female. Her name is Doubles.
What? Doubles?
Her name is Doubles.
Why?
Well, a few reasons. One of the most popular things in Trinidad is
Okay, doubles.
And trust me, soon she'll be one of the most popular things in Trinidad, you know. And it's a capi what?
Oh, come on, Ricardo.
Capybara. Okay, so we have Doubles here, and we'll try and get Doubles out here. She is just an amazing, nice young one, and everybody's like, wow, but they're so small. I'm like, you were small at one time also. They get pretty, like I said, 110 pounds on average. That's a big, big, big rat. Let's not forget, rat is rat. This is a rat. It's a rodent.
All right, so let's not forget that's exactly what it is, but along with a lot of other animals. So let's see if she'll come out. Oh, with my left arm only. You coming out, baby? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. Let's jump on out. Here we go. Right.
Hello.
So, right, I'm going to have to lead there because I don't know a depth perception and realizing, wait a minute, there the counter ends. So this here is a giant herbivorous. It eats herbs, it eats grasses, it eats bush.
There you go.
It'll throw in some fruits and some veggies and so on in there also.
Not my fingers.
But it loves its greens. And it's semi-aquatic, so that's why in Trinidad where we find them would be swampy, marshy areas, either directly in the water or very close to the water. So they do actually come out of the water, feed on the swampy, grassy areas right next to it, on the banks where the vegetation is and so on. And a lot of people now are encountering them all over the place. And it has stirred up a lot of controversy, a lot of debate about where it belongs, whether it's invasive or not. And people need to understand how our ecology and our diversity came about. And that's what, if you grasp that, you would understand this guy, this girl has been here and her family has been here for a very, very long time. It's not a recent thing that's been attributed to some people. It has been here.
No, you have to forgive me. I'm hearing everything that you're saying. I'm just not digesting it. I'm just so caught up with...
It's a little tricky for her with her webbed feet and the very smoothness of the counter. So she's walking a little bit awkward. So it's not that she's lame or anything like that there.
Uh-oh.
Yep. It is just that the counter is smooth. And when she tries to accelerate, it's the same effect you have when you have a xandoli on tiles in your house. They come into your house.
I don't think she's hungry anymore.
From the time they get on that tile and they try to accelerate, they just start to skate all over the place. So we're going to keep her as calm as possible so she does not skate around on the counter, causing distress to our viewers outside there. But she is really an amazing animal. And again, I have to keep emphasizing that people understand it is not a pig or pig related, it's a rodent. So it has those teeth like that constantly grow.
Oh, yes, so they're constantly gnawing on everything.
Gnawing on stuff. They're non-stop eaters. So the closest animal it would probably resemble really would be a guinea pig.
Yeah, it honestly looks like a
big guinea pig, a guinea pig on steroids. But they're just amazing, amazing animals. The web feet is one of the most amazing things.
That's why she's sliding so much, yes.
Right, and then the nails, anything on this here will be a little slidey, but she has webbed feet, which is the amazing thing with these animals because they're meant for water. They're built for water, front
and back. So they spend most of their time in water?
In or right around water. So their nostrils also, right on top there. Their eyes on top there. So they're basically in the water and just like the snakes, the anaconda, their nostrils and the eyes, so they can remain submerged. That's part of the defense mechanism, and they can see what's going on. And if there's any danger, then they'll just hold their breath.
How long can they hold their breath for?
I'm not sure. You try to find that out as time goes on. Well, of course, I'll call. I will not hold it underwater. I will call around to some people who have had them for quite a while. And a lot of people around the world have discovered these animals. It seems like the bigger some animals are, the more confident they are. And they actually make better pets. They're just confident. They're not skittish and scared. She'll be a little bit because she's young, but as she grows and accustomed to people, she really will represent herself as a great ambassador, just being calm and so confident.
But she seems calm already. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's part of their nature.
She was just on the desk because it's so smooth. But she seems so calm already.
Yeah. And once you start scratching her, she's like, okay, I like that. And she would just chill with that.
Oh, look at
so
that.
the videos you have seen with people with capybaras sitting in their laps and just going for scratches and following them around, all true. That's exactly what you get with this animal. It is just a calm, cool animal.
Even if you encounter this animal in the wild, if it wanders into your yard, it'll just try to run away from you.
Yes, it would. Right? This animal is only dangerous if you're grass. That's the only, I'm serious. That's the only thing this animal could hurt. I mean, if you try to grab a wild one, it does have these large teeth in front, so it can bite to possibly defend itself. And well, I don't know if people remember, there was an incident, was it before last year? Almost, no, it was last year, in Port of Spain, on the Brian Lara Promenade, where there was a huge female capybara, right? So I think it was even a Wednesday, or possibly a Tuesday. I was coming into Port of Spain early, as I usually do, and I got the call from, I think it's basically Central Command with the police that there's this large capybara on the promenade, if I can come help out. And I'm like, fortunately for you, I'm only about 20, 25 minutes away. And got there, and I expected a large capybara, but this girl was massive. I was even shocked. I took a breath and like, whoa, you weren't kidding when you said big. It was huge. And with the help of some very excited passerby and people there, we were able, you know, for a while I was running around the savannah because you would run from bush to bush hiding, and so on. It was definitely out of place and was felt threatened. But we managed to catch it in front of, I think it was Republic Bank. We got it roped down there, and then I got it into the car. And everybody, oh, look at that. You go in and eat it, you go in and curry, and you go in and this and that there. But I made sure there was a follow-up. We took it to a swamp where I will not name, and it was released. And we had the media coverage approved, and it was it made the front page the next day. You know, it was the strangest thing. Where did this capybara come from to end up on the Brian Lara promenade?
I can take a good guess from my experiences of what I've seen. It's just off the highway. Just off the highway, just outside the dump. Unfortunately, I think it was last year as well, I did see on the highway into Port of Spain, mother and child, it would seem.
Right.
Flat on the highway.
Yeah, and people need to understand that's part of the problem around the world with wildlife. Your thoroughfare, your highways, your streets divides their habitat. And when they want to go from one side to the other, they don't know how to use that crossover. So they have to make special, and if no special provisions aren't made, they have to chance it on the road, and a lot of times they get run over. So if people can get bounced down on the highway, who are these little animals who have no clue how to deal with a car coming at 100, 110 kilometers per hour?
Yeah.
So that happens a lot of times in a lot of places with a lot of wildlife. That fragmentation, it's called habitat fragmentation. So you keep one set away from the next, and when they're calling and they're sending out their pheromones and their hormones, so the males run across the road and then have to face the consequences of that, or even feeding.
You said they found most of the times in water or around water.
Yes.
So primarily in swampland across TNT. What I found also quite amazing is that you pointed out the eyes and the nose and the web feet, but the ears tend to it tucks in a bit.
Yeah.
It goes back, and that is also part of their living underwater.
Yeah. They
see how
swimming and moving. Yeah, they are ready for this life. They're about that aquatic life. So everything, the coarse fur, they have a slightly double type fur where the underneath is a little more waterproof.
Yeah.
And it keeps them from, chilling out and getting too cold. They're just amazing, and they produce a natural oil on it also. So when they come out, a little shake.
It doesn't dry out their skin either.
Yeah, it kind of keeps them like water off a duck's back.
Yeah. But what is Doubles? Sorry, I was about to say capybara. What is Doubles' story though? How did Doubles come to the center?
Someone was purchasing it to
purchasing it.
Yeah, they purchased to grow it up.
For other reasons, I suppose.
Of getting it to 110 pounds.
Oh, okay.
And they're already doing the economics, doing the math. 110 pounds at $35, $45 a pound. I'll be making a lot of money off of that. And someone convinced them that, they probably shouldn't do something like that. And then he was convinced that, if he brings it home, the kids are going to love it, and then he will not be able to slaughter it. So it was given up. It was given up, and we have it here at the center. And it's actually legal to do that because I think about a year and a half ago, they were put on the vermin list.
Yes.
So they actually started encouraging people to kill this animal.
Why were they put on the vermin list in the sense that these guys eat only grass, but isn't that their population is getting out of hand?
The population strangely seems to be increasing, and they're popping up in the same areas.
You said strangely?
Yeah, because animal populations like these here don't usually grow. When people hunt and eat something, the numbers usually decline. But strangely, the numbers are increasing, and the number of farmers on the riverbanks and the riverbank areas are also increasing. So in an area like Aranguez, you have farmers complaining that these things coming around and eating our crops. And then you look and say, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be farming there to begin with. Let's start off with that. But that's not even a factor. So the enemy is no longer this illegal squatting, the rotivating riverbanks and creating problems in flood-prone areas. The problem has now been shifted to the animal that is doing so much destruction to people's crops. And that is quite sad. I wish we had a sort of buffer zone or protection zone of many people. And of course, with the diminishing game in Trinidad, as it were, people wanted more stuff to shoot. So it being on the vermin list allows people to kill the animal year round, calling it invasive.
Why does it always seem that we get things wrong?
Yes, it's human nature. We don't look at things in a holistic manner, in a broad manner, and appreciate them for what they are. So for example, the mongoose was introduced to the New World from Asia, and it's a big problem. Okay, a big problem because people thought, like in Trinidad, they thought they'd bring it here and they would eat the venomous snakes. The venomous snakes come out at night, the mongoose operates during the day. So they never meet, but the mongoose must eat. So it would now focus its attention on other things, like your ducks and your duck eggs and your chickens and stuff like that. So a lot of people don't have a proper appreciation for what you see in front of you isn't always what is really in front of you. There's many more aspects to it, and we have to have complete studies, do our due diligence before we make decisions of this nature.
Well, as I said, forgive me, guys. I'm listening to Ricardo. I'm not hearing a word he says though. I'm so intrigued because like she's settled now. She's more curious.
Right, and moving a lot slower, so she's handling the smoothness
moving a lot
easier. Yeah, and that's just the nature of the animals. These animals will never hurt you, seek to hurt you, but they are, I believe, very important prey items for another particular animal.
Prey items, right? Yeah. So I was going to get to that. Let's cover doubles A's now, just for a moment. What I can take a good guess, but you go on.
Well, let's do it this way. Where was the largest to date anaconda found in Trinidad? Do you remember that anaconda a couple of years ago?
I do remember the anaconda.
Right. Do you remember where it was found?
Was it Caroni or Nariva?
Caroni, correct. Close to the cremation site. Kind of opposite there where they have that gas processing facility and so on. Yeah. Right where it's found, right on an access road close to there. Where are most of the capybara sightings?
Swampland.
Right there. Right there also. In fact, I've seen most carcasses of capybaras on that stretch.
You've seen carcasses there too? Okay.
Yeah, because people run them over. They come out a lot at night when it's kind of safe from people, and then people run them over, either deliberately or, accidentally. So, yeah, that's an active roadway. So, what would a creature like the green anaconda eat in a swampy area?
Could you cover her ears? I don't want her to feel hurt.
No, she doesn't know that stuff.
No,
yet,
no,
she
but
knows
definitely.
She's safe. She knows she's safe from the anaconda.
The green anaconda, even given the size of the two that we had on the set about a month ago, yeah, definitely. I mean, and you see it in nature documentaries all the time. The anacondas, especially even in South America, their primary source of food is the capybara.
Correct. Right? So how would it be different in Trinidad? And I have, there's so much evidence going back that show that these animals have been around. I remember an older gentleman, we used to call him Cowboy, because in his retirement he started raising some cows near Frederick Settlement, again in Caroni still, and he would tell me, when he saw my shirt, he was like, oh, wildlife and this and that, and he used to hunt. He said, boy, I see some big goatee with some big blockhead, and every time I raise my gun, it used to jump in the water.
Oh, I know.
Big goatee with a big blocky head, and it would jump in the water. And this is going back to when he was, as they say, Moses was a little boy. He's an old guy. I mean, he's been probably dead for about 15 years now. And he was 80-something then. So you go back and do the timeline. That was way back into close to the 40s.
So then it's a complete fallacy, a misconception that these guys are invasive.
Even if you can call them invasive, if they came in on rafts of vegetation 100 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, what happened 100,000 years ago? The same thing would have been happening. Okay, it's the same thing. So they've always been here, coming here, whichever way you want to put it. They've always been evidence of them here in Trinidad and Tobago in a quite natural and unassisted, man-made way. They just do the thing the way nature intended them to do. And it's just strange. I just find it strange, and we cannot find a reason to explain the way that their population seems to be increasing. But I hope that studies are done that show this is a native animal to Trinidad and Tobago, and hopefully it gets removed from the vermin list. Because the main reason for that being on the vermin list really is so that people have something else to shoot and something else to eat. And we have no lack of things to eat in this country. So that's not, we're not in a situation like, our poorer, Caribbean country, neighbors like Haiti and stuff like that. There's no reason for that. It's not part of our culture like in some of our South American countries where it's part of the culture to eat. Now, understand, I don't have a problem with people eating a capybara. Okay, stop, sorry, Doubles. I don't have a problem with people eating capybara.
You just made the girl jump.
But it should be sustainable.
Hey.
Right? It should be sustainable.
Can we get you to
If your activity is not sustainable, you need to rethink your activity. So I don't have a problem with people logging, okay? Timber is important. This desk made out of timber. You chair, your house, sort of stuff out of timber. But if you're going to do it by just cutting down the forest and not giving things an opportunity to grow back, then you need to rethink your approach. I think the camera wants to see that lovely face. Rethink your approach and try to do things in a sustainable manner. Because basically what you're saying is that what resources we have today, it's not just about me and you. What about our children and our grandchildren and the future generations? So we have to do things in such a manner. And the strange thing is, people would, I'm building this house for my children and my grandchildren, but you wouldn't say I'm protecting the environment for them. You wouldn't say I'm going to get rid of some plastics for them. And that is what we have to do. That is what being an environmentalist is about. It's about sustainability. So it's not about now. It's about just now and in the future. We have to think about that.
Well, Ricardo, I mean, I'm always grateful every Wednesday when you guys bring animals on, and it's been an incredible experience for me. As I said, we have these conversations for you, the viewer, but I'm the lucky one where I get to be in studio, and well, sometimes unlucky.
Yeah.
And don't want to be unlucky.
Like next week.
Anytime soon.
Like next week when, a creature that very much misunderstood is going to be our guest. So we aim to have,
a creature that's very much misunderstood.
Yeah. So we have about 6 different species of cockroaches coming in next week.
That's it. This is the last episode of Wild Wednesday.
And we're going over the bang, folks.
This is the last episode of Wild Wednesday.
We're going over the bang, but
actually, funny enough, this morning, as we were starting the show, Ricardo was here from very late, and there was not so big, but big enough spider in the studio, right where I sit actually, against the wall. Thankfully Ricardo was here, because Ricardo was very kind enough to actually pick up the spider with his hands. And it was big, folks. It was. Anyway, Ricardo, I want to thank you so much. It's like a paper shredder.
Yeah.
It's like look at that. It's just like a paper shredder.
It just won't stop eating. And that's part of what we kind of love about them. And it's actually one of the fun animals to feed.
You don't need a lawnmower. You just need a capybara.
A capybara. So I can reiterate, I don't have a problem with someone eating capybara meat. It's a neotropical animal. That means that we should be able to and are able to raise them here. But it has to be done in a sustainable and sensible manner. I am not encouraging you to go out there and shoot them. But wildlife farming is something here in Trinidad, and it is an option. With most of the animals, you're not going to make a profit. That's just the way it is right now. And the irony of it is, you want wildlife farming, but you have to find a way to get more production out of it. And to do that now, you do it in a commercialized and almost industrial manner, and then it doesn't become wildlife farming anymore. So that's the catch-22 about it. So for homestead, same way you would raise a couple yard fowl or duck and so on there, you can, if you can raise this animal to 100 pounds and then consume it, then all well and good for you. All right, I know most people wouldn't be able to do that afterwards.
Very expensive as well.
Yeah, well, this is actually one of the cheaper ones because of what it eats. A real forager that will eat greens and grass. Many of the animals, they need too many fruits and vegetables, which, as you know, one of the cheapest things in the market is now green fig, and it's still $6 a pound. Still $6. It starts at that, Edo's is $12 a pound.
I was shocked to see the price of provisions.
I want to eat healthy. I want to eat natural organic food, and it's a little hot. Yeah.
It's expensive.
The only good part about it is that it's amazing for your health, and when you do eat some Edo's, you're full. You're full, and it's really good for you. So, you have to...
Remember a long time ago, they used to make dumpling, I was about a quarter pound of flour for one dumpling. I think that's what we get him back to.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems that, you know, a lot of things need to change, and we're here just to impart that knowledge and give people the education to make much better decisions. So probably, folks, next time you look to chomp down on a capybara, remember it's this cute. Remember it's this cute. It's not that horrible pest. I mean, they do get big, and they get even cuter, I believe. You know, they are really amazing.
It was an absolute treat this morning.
Yeah, it's always when you get to encounter some really great animals, and they just love to have them back. So she raises the fur up and will just stay absolutely still there to get that scratch. She loves her scratches on. She's like, oh, that is perfection right there. She's just an amazing animal, and we're very lucky here in Trinidad. You know, all the other Caribbean islands are like, what? You have that in Trinidad? Yes. We are very fortunate, and we need to appreciate and respect that these are part of our ecosystem, and not everything is to be destroyed.
I agree with you until you bring a cockroach on set. We're good. I think I can handle most things. Not really a fan of cockroaches.
Well, we have a program now where we intend to breed about 3 different species of cockroaches because, again, we have to supply natural food to our patients. So, you know, while we may not like doing it, it is essential a lot of times. So we do the dirty jobs, as it
Best of luck to everyone at the center who has that job.
So they deal with cockroaches, right?
Goodbye, Doubles. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Right. From the bottom of her web feet to her big heart, you know, thank you guys for letting us into your homes this morning, and I hope she has had an impact on you and you've learned something about these amazing, the largest rodent in the world is a resident of Trinidad and Tobago, and it's the capybara.
Oh, jeez, yes, I like you too, but quite frankly, we have to go now. Goodbye. Ricardo, thanks a lot, my friend.
Thanks for letting
we'll see you again.
And Doubles, you know, it's a good morning when you can start off your morning with Doubles.
Well, with a Doubles, yeah.
With Doubles, right? Yeah, you know. So that's part of the reason why we call it. Besides the capybara, Doubles is one of the most popular things in the country. And soon, trust me, whenever people encounter this animal, they lose their minds. They can't believe how amazing and adorable this animal really is. So hence the name and hence the reason there. We hope to bring her into your homes, into your hearts. I don't have any food, no food, no food, no food, no food, no food. And get a chance. Maybe you get a chance to meet her directly and interact with her one of these days on one of our displays. Maybe at the end of the month when we have our Easter extravaganza safari. We will be pushing that very soon.
I look forward to that. Ladies and gentlemen, we bid farewell to Ricardo until next week for another wild... Well, it depends on what you bring in next week, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, the host may not be here. And we may have to get a substitute host.
He may be on the ground in absolute shock. Anyway, Ricardo, we'll see you again, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Doubles. Bye, Doubles. Doubles is a bit busy chomping on all the juicy grass there.
You're supposed to face.
She's happy. She's happy. She's having...
The other way. There you go.
All right, folks, this has been AM Prime. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
WESN.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.